The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie crimson glow over the village of Raven's Peak. The air was heavy with a palpable sense of foreboding, as if the darkness itself was watching, waiting. In the small village of Raven's Peak, nestled in the mystical forest of Elvendom, unease settled over the residents like a shroud. They had grown accustomed to strange happenings every time the blood moon rose. Tools would go missing, food would spoil, and strange noises echoed through the forest. But the most disturbing phenomenon was the transformation of the village's inhabitants. During the blood moon, some villagers would fall into a mindless trance, wandering into the forest, never to be seen again. They believed these souls were victims of an ancient curse cast by a vengeful sorceress. Arya, a skilled huntress, lost her brother to the curse. Determined to save her village, she researched tirelessly, uncovering that the curse was the work of a powerful sorceress named Lyra. Lyra had been a just ruler, wronged by the ancestors of Raven's Peak. Attacked and left for dead, Lyra survived and cast the curse in her anger and pain. Arya gathered rare herbs and magical artifacts, and on the night of the next blood moon, she ventured into the heart of the forest to lift the curse. As she approached the ancient ritual site, Arya began to chant, calling upon the spirits of the land. The air grew thick with magical energy as she performed the ritual. Slowly, the curse began to lift, and villagers under the trance-like state began to stir. Exhausted but triumphant, Arya returned to the village, hailed as a hero. The village celebrated, believing they were finally free from the curse of the blood moon. But Arya couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. As she looked up at the blood moon, now a pale crescent, she saw a figure standing at the edge of the forest. "Lyra?" Arya whispered, her voice trembling. Lyra's eyes glowed like embers as she approached. "Why did you lift the curse, Arya?" Lyra asked menacingly. It was the only thing protecting this village from the true horror that lurks in the shadows. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the forest. Ilara, a young villager, stumbled out, eyes black as coal, whispering, "The shadow comes. The true horror has only just begun." The forest grew darker, shadows deepening into grotesque forms. The curse had been a barrier against a greater evil. Now, with the curse lifted, the village was exposed. Arya tried to rally the villagers, but the shadow had already begun to seep into the village, dragging them into the darkness one by one. Arya fought bravely, but it was a losing battle. Surrounded by darkness, Arya turned to Lyra. "What is the shadow?" "The shadow is an ancient evil," Lyra replied. "It feeds on fear and terror." Determined, Arya rallied the villagers. They fought back against the shadow with Lyra's magic and their bravery. After what seemed like an eternity, the shadow was defeated. The sun rose and the villagers cheered. Arya thanked Lyra, who vanished into thin air, leaving behind words of wisdom. The true battle is against the darkness within ourselves. As the village celebrated, Arya felt herself being pulled towards the forest. The shadow closed in around her, dragging her into the abyss. The villagers never found Arya again, a sacrifice made in return for their freedom. And so, the village of Raven's Peak was forever changed, its people freed from the curse but at a terrible cost. Arya's bravery and selflessness would never be forgotten, her name synonymous with courage and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming darkness. The forest was silent once more, but the villagers knew they would never forget the terror they had faced, and the sacrifice that had been made to save them.